What's up guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be cutting some weight out of the doors by removing the crash bars that are welded in there. Now I will say I do not recommend doing this if you don't have a cage in your car or you're not planning on putting a cage in your car eventually. Miss Parker will be fully caged, so it's not an issue. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've kind of been procrastinating on making this video, not because it's a difficult job, but it is very time consuming and hella stressful, being that the piece that we have to cut out is literally a few millimeters away from the outside of the door skin, so there is little to no room for error. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, first of all, a while ago I removed the door cards, and I also took out the speakers because Miss Parker does not have a radio. She is a full-blown race car. And I also converted the doors from power windows to manual windows, and those three things you know, helped us save some weight on the doors. But today we are going to be focusing on this piece right here. You guys can see it, it goes along the entire, this is it right here, length of the door, and it is spot welded right here. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there is like 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 spot welds on this side, and there is going to be another 4 or 5 spot welds on the inside of the door here. Now, to get that out, you could drill out the spot welds, and that would get it removed, and then obviously you would have to cut the piece in pieces in order to get it out, but that's not the way we're gonna do it. All right, so I want you to be able to see these spot welds. I don't know if you can see them. It's gonna be so hard to see it, guys, but oh, maybe? Okay, there we go. So you see there's one right here. Come on. There's one right here, and then here, here, and here. So if you were to drill these spot welds out, you would just have 5 random holes. Like, they're not in a straight line or anything. They're just randomly put here. So you would just have 5 holes drilled on the side of your car that will be visible even if you were to put your door card back on, which we are not. And having 5 random little holes like that on the side of the door, if they were all in a straight line, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but because that they're just like whichever way, like they're just completely, there is no type of pattern to them, my OCD will not allow that. So we're not going to do that. The way we're going to do it is I'm just going to cut across the top of this spot weld on this little gap right here, and it's hard to see here, but there's like a little section of door. There you go, you can see it better right here. It's like 1 inch. So we're going to cut across the top of that spot weld, down along the side of this little area right here, and then back across the bottom of this spot weld and back up. So we'll have a rectangular piece missing from the door instead of 5 random holes. And yeah, you will be able to see it, but I think it'll look a lot better than the 5 just mismatched drilled holes in your door. And if you look here, there is already a little rectangular cutout. Man, it's hard to see right here. So, you know, that's factory, and there's a rectangular cut in the door. So another one right here won't be that big of a deal. And I actually already got the passenger side door done. So let me show you guys that so you guys can see how the finished product will look. All right, so you guys look, it doesn't look much different than the inside of a stock door. But if we get a little bit closer, you will notice that this hole I opened up bigger, as well as this hole, in order to have access to the crash bar that we have to cut out. And then over here you can see, and it's hard to see because everything's black, but you guys can see the rectangle. It's right here. And what I did was I painted the inside of the door behind the rectangle, so like, you know, if you're 5 feet away from the car, you're not gonna notice it because it's just black back there. So like, you guys can see it. I'm trying to show you as best as possible, but it's clean. It's clean. I mean, I think it looks way cleaner than the 5 random holes there. So yeah, that's how that looks. And then on the inside here, there's no way that we can get an angle grinder or a Dremel in there to cut out that section. We would have to take the door off, and I'm not gonna do that. So I just cut it as short as possible, or as close as possible to the inside of the door here. And the little piece that's left over probably only weighs a few grams, so I'm not really worried about it. We get the majority of the crash bar out, and I think each crash bar weighs about 15 pounds, give or take a couple pounds. So together, that's a total of 30 pounds of weight reduction, and that's pretty solid. I also want to mention that cutting up your doors is not the only way to get this done. Once the crash bar is free from the door, I believe some guys remove the window and then pull the crash bar up and out that way, but I personally really don't want to remove the window, so we're gonna get the ball rolling here by merging these two access holes together and then making this access hole a little bit bigger just so we have some more room to work. Safety first, boys. All right, let's get it, baby. The Dremel's working, but it's taking entirely way too long, and I've already ran through 2 of the little Dremel cutting wheels, so I'm bringing out the big. Let's get it. And there's the first piece. Okay, we got that piece out, but over to the farther edge over here, it's actually double layered, so there's another piece of thicker, because this stuff is really thin, so it's simple to cut through, but over here there is like a piece behind this that's like triple the thickness of this, and you kind of have to get through both of them in order for the access hole to be effective. Here's that second piece, and it's hot, but I'm going to show you guys. You can see the thickness of that is way thicker than the first little piece of sheet metal that we took off. But yeah, now you guys can see that that hole is cut open way bigger, and then over here this hole is cut open way bigger. And don't worry about the edges and stuff. Once the crash bar is removed, then I go back with like a little sanding bit and smooth out the edges, and then we also touch up the door with some paint, because as you guys can see, it's like a grayish color, and you can see that one's just all gloss black. So yeah, everything will look super clean when we're done. Another little tip, if you do decide to go this route and cut everything out, just go ahead and move all of your little locking rods out of there. I also disconnected the release handle for the door, so you can move this rod down a little bit, and I zip tied it here because if not, it kind of sits like right in the way, and it'll take too long, and you have to be too careful trying not to hit this with the cutoff wheel, when if you just zip it down to the bottom here, it's completely out of the way, and then you can just focus on cutting the crash bar. So I stuck this piece of sheet metal in between the crash bar and the door, just in case we go too far, you know, we have just a little bit of added protection so we don't go right through the door. And yeah, we're gonna get started here. I'm going to cut right here first. Once we separate this portion of the crash bar from the rest of the crash bar, then we'll go out to the outside of the door here and release it from the spot welds, and we should be able to pull this section out, and then yeah, just keep working at it like that. Did I mention that I've been procrastinating on doing this? Because I've been procrastinating on doing this. But pretty sure we got all the way through the first one. Yeah, we're all the way through there. So now we can start working on the spot welds on this outer side of the door. free. We should be. There she is. First piece of the crash bar, and right here you can see how that little piece, the little rectangle piece of the door, just came out with the spot welds. So sick. That looks like that. Once we you know, clean up the edges and paint it as well, and then I paint this gray part that you see in the back black, and then it all just kind of blends into each other and it don't look that bad. So yay. That's the first piece. So now we just have to do that like 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 3 or 4 more times. Sick. All right, boys, I've been cutting for like 30 minutes, and here she is. And I gotta tell you, that went a lot smoother than the first time around, and I'll explain why. Hold on, before we get too excited, did we cut through the door? No, we didn't cut through the door. Nice. All right, so now let me explain why the first time I did it on the passenger door, it took a lot longer, because I didn't realize that behind the crash bar, if you flip it over, the big portion of it in the middle is double plated. See how here's the crash bar, and then it's got this second plate behind it, and if you try to cut through both of those while it's so close to the door, man, I'll tell you what, it is a pain in the butt, because if you guys see here, you have to cut through these like little channels. So you cut through, normally you would just be able to cut like this and that would cut through, but now you got to take the blade another inch deeper to cut through this one, and this is even closer to the door skin. It's a pain in the butt. So what I did was I just cut as much of the crash bar up until the double plated metal. So where it's doubled right here, I could have gone even more, but it's hard to see when you're looking at it from the front. So I just kind of drew a line with this Sharpie, and then I cut as close as I could to it on this side, as close as I could to it on this side, and then we were able to finesse it out of this access hole that we made. So, whoo, crash bar is out. Now, we got to get this last little piece out, which, like I showed you on the other side, we don't take it fully out, we just cut it as close as possible, and yeah, that'll be good enough. So we take out the majority of that, and then the crash bar is fully out, and then we can focus on cleaning up our holes, getting the door painted, and that'll be that. A few videos back, we took Miss Parker to the dump to get her weighed, and since then I've been keeping track of all of the weight reduction that we've been doing, including the passenger door that I knocked out a couple weeks back. And this morning I weighed all of the material that we just cut out of the driver door, and it weighed 16.8 pounds, putting Miss Parker at a total of 26.65. That is sick, and there's still so much more things that we can do as far as weight reduction goes, but we won't get into that for a while. I'm pretty happy with 26.65. So yeah, I also cleaned up all of our cuts. Got all our cuts cleaned up. So the only thing left to do now is to mask up the window, mask up a few other things, and then touch up the door with some paint, and that's it. So let's get after it. Here we go. this little guy back on. And that's it, we're done. You guys can see that it looks super clean. Over here, the little rectangle that we cut out, just chilling. Over here, oh, I forgot to mention that I got that little piece cut out yesterday before I went inside. So that's done. And yeah, Miss Parker is a lot lighter, so that's sick. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Be easy.